is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That is brand new stuff from the mighty Morbid Angel. That tune is called Declare a New Law. And on the show now to declare some new law himself, it is the vocalist. It is the man. It is Steve Tucker. Steve, how are you, man?
I'm great, man. How are you doing?
Excellent, dude. Couldn't be better now that I've got new Morbid Angel in my ears, man. What a great record this Kingdom's Disdained is.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Dude, the one thing I've got to say right off the bat is it is very clear when you step back into this band for now the third time, whenever you step into the band, there's just an intensity change between. Not that the other stuff is weak, but you really bring a different level of intensity to this band every time you touch it.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I think it's just, kind of combination of Trey and I working together, man. What I hear in Trey's riffs and things like that, I always sort of look for the most mean and menacing part of the riff, man, and work around that myself. So, I mean, that's the goal, man, is to try and just make it mean, menacing, and aggressive,
Sure. Now, obviously, the big news is you returning to the band for the third time. Let's talk about that for a little bit. What made you decide to come back? And at this point, why do you still hold such a passion for Morbid Angel that you would come back a third time?
Well, I mean, I spent a big chunk of my life in Morbid Angel, man, and I mean, it's only a part of Morbid Angel's life, but with that, man, I kind of always, it was a part of me, man. And when the opportunity came up, when Trey asked me, it really came down to music, man. Do I want to write music with Trey? Absolutely. I do want to write music with Trey. It's always been something that's been awesome. There's always been things on the personal front that not between us, but just in the world, just personally that cause problems, man, with me being in the band. But it was never something about Trey and I or the music, man. And when a chance came, I wanted to do it as well, man. It's part of my legacy as well, and the Morbid Angel name for me always tied together now. Sure.
Now with each return to working with Trey, does it feel the same as it did the first time, or is it a little different each time as you've both grown as musicians and just as guys?
Man, it's actually shocking how little it changes,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like once it's time to work, everyone falls right back into that same sort of mold. I'm of the opinion that everybody sort of, in groups, man, everybody sort of holds a certain, position in it, you know what I mean? And
mm-hmm.
like in your family, the way Uncle Bill is compared to Uncle Joe, one's always a little, people listen to him a little more, and the other one's a drunk, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or, you know what I'm saying? So, there's those personality roles, man, and it seems like once it's time to work, we just fall right back into them, man. And it just works. It works out great, He creates music, and I try and do whatever I can do to it to make it even crazier,
No doubt, man. Well, anybody that's heard the record and anybody that will be hearing the record, Kingdom's Disdained, they're gonna figure it out really quickly that while this is definitely everything you would expect from Morbid Angel, it does have some cool twists and turns to it. There's I don't know, and you probably see it a little different as the creator of a lot of this music, but from release to release, there's always been sort of differences, and
absolutely.
And in Kingdoms, it almost sounds like you've taken the various elements and kind of mushed it together to make something that is unique to itself. I mean, there are some obvious speed, fast, heavy songs, and then there's some songs that reminded me of stuff that could have been on like Gateways. That's a little
right.
more doomy and slow and vicious in that way. Is that just natural progression, or is that you trying to bring a little bit more of the diversity than maybe other records have shown?
I just think it's the alchemy, man. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. First, it's a combination of Trey and I working together, and you're ending up with a familiarity there, and sort of in the way things are arranged and things like that, possibly. And then, also there's the element of like Morbid Angel, you know, is made up of people, and I'm even including when I'm not in it, people that are continuously advancing and evolving.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So you take what you know and you grow upon it, man. And that's why I think, you know, a lot of this album, there's moments in it where musically it is, you know, ideas, you know, like we're doing a lot of these weird polyrhythms, ideas like that now are much more complex and I don't even know, deeper and weirder than ever, man. It's just I think it's just a musical progression thing, man. And I think Morbid Angel's always been a very original band, a band that every album has a bit of diversity on it, you know what I mean? And it kind of shows different sides of the band. And from album to album, there's always been, oh, this is so different than the last album. That's always been the first thing that's said. This album, of course, it's not any different, you know, as far as that goes. And but what I just think it's originality, man. When you're doing something original, it seems new. It always kind of has a newness about it, you know. The only difference is with a band with a legacy like this, you still have the originality of the creator with the familiarity behind it, you know what I mean, that you can relate it to. So it's, you know, I think that's really what makes it kind of gives that vibe, you know.
Sure. Do you think that fans, and not the hardcore fans, but some of the more peripheral fans, guys that, I'll say younger kids that grew up on like Chimera as an example and now are starting to look for heavier stuff, do you think that those kids will be able to really grasp onto what you're doing now, specifically the technical aspect of it? Because I personally don't think that the technical side of it ever gets enough credit.
I think, you know, first of all, technicality is a necessity in some of these riffs. It's to create the sort of melody or whatever that's in your head, there has to be a certain sense of technical ability to get that out. And I mean, some of these, you know, some of these melodies that I come up with or that Trey comes up with, especially Trey, man, they're really, really odd. You know what I mean? And they're really out of nowhere. So, you know, has to be that. As far as like people like that, I think that, you know, Morbid Angel is a band that's been around, man, for many years, and I know that there's still metalheads out there. They never checked it out. They you know, people do sort of name association. You know what I mean? And it's you know, so if they were always into this sort of thing, they don't go there because they associate it with this kind of music. You know. So I mean, I really don't know. I mean, I would think that you know, man, a metalhead, anybody that's into things that are, you know, pretty intense, and they're going to find something in it that they're going to like. You know. Sure,
definitely will, man. Well, looking back at the new record, Kingdom's Disdained, not only you coming into the band, but you have new players as well. Talk a little bit about the new guys that are in Morbid Angel and how that all worked out as far as creating the new record.
Man, you know, really, Scotty was a part of the whole process. The new drummer was a part of the entire process of making the new album. The guitar player really wasn't so much. He did contribute a solo to a song, you know, things like that. But we decided we'll wait till later to sort of work him in, and then we did that with touring and such, you know.
Okay.
So, pardon me one second. I had to get a drink. I was about to start coughing.
No problem.
Sorry about that. Now, Scotty Fuller, on the other hand, I mean, he was a part of it the entire time. I mean, actually, you know, there's like 3 songs that Scotty and I wrote together, and then there's a song that, you know, Scotty and Trey worked on in the rehearsal room, whereas, you know, usually in the past few albums, it's always been demos have been done, you know, sort of at home. People, you know, Trey comes up with something, he adds some computer drums to it and such, and then we send it to each other and everybody works on their individual parts. I would do that myself sometimes, you know. This time I decided I didn't really want to do that. I didn't want to sit at home and write songs. I wanted to wait until I was in the room. So once we got in the room, Scotty and I immediately started working on songs. And to be honest with you, that was sort of a bonding thing, man. That was what ended up, you know, how we really kind of got to know each other really well and bonded. I mean, when you're writing music, you know, it can get really personal, man. So you get to know someone really well. So we sort of bonded over writing, like, I'm pretty sure it was 3 songs. And then after that, you know, once we got together and started, you know, rehearsing to do shows, it became very obvious that every decision we had made with Scotty, because, I mean, we had a lot of drummers kind of come through to kind of figure out who we wanted, you know what I mean? We had a lot of options, and we decided on Scotty because he always seemed to be the right guy for some reason. And then by the time we got together and started getting ready to tour, I knew absolutely this guy was the right choice. I mean, he did a fantastic job both in the studio, on tour, and all the rehearsals and the writing process. I mean, he's just contributed on so many levels, and I'm glad to be jamming with the guy. Once we got out on tour, Dan, the new guitar player, Vadim Vaughn, was with us, man, and man, he did his job fantastic every single night. I mean, in a band like Morbid, you do so many shows. That other guitar player, it's very important that if he just does his job correct every night.
Sure.
Just he has to be as solid as a rock, and Dan really is, man. So I think now the band is as tight as it's ever been, and it's pretty phenomenal live.
No doubt. Well, you mentioned the touring, man, and no secret, you guys have had all kinds of visa problems in the last year and a half, 2 years. What is going on with that?
It's all sorted out, dude. It's one of those things where, you get lawyers and things like that to take care of it. I really don't know. It's not something I really could comment on or anything like that. But I know that everything's supposedly sorted out.
Okay, so will you guys get to go overseas like in 2018?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I was told we'll be going. Yeah, definitely. I was told we'll be going overseas pretty much most of the year. You know what I mean?
Okay. Very cool, man. So is that's kind of the plan then, is to spend 18 mostly out of the U.S.?
Oh yeah, I mean all over. I mean, no, we're planning on doing the United States as well.
Okay.
North America as well, probably including Canada this time. And we plan on being everywhere, man. One of those things where, I mean, I it's what I love to do, man. I mean, making albums and things, man. I love to create music. But there comes a point where, man, it's work. It's just hours and hours of work every day, and you got to stay focused, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. On stage, you just get to go out there and just tear it up, man. So, I look forward to playing as much as we possibly can, and, I mean, I'm ready to do as many shows as they put in front of us.
No doubt, man. Now, Steve, it's no secret that you, and I don't think it's necessarily only your decision, but as a band, you guys have previously made the decision not to play the Vincent era songs. A, will you stay to that? And B, do you think that that's fair, more fair now, considering that the other guy, that David, has formed another band where he plays, his era of music from the band?
Well, I'm going to start with B.
Okay.
No, I don't think it's fair.
Okay.
I don't think it's fair at all. I think that when people come to see Morbid Angel, there's people that are Morbid Angel fans from day one, man. There's people that, even before Vincent was involved, you know what I mean? There's
Sure.
people that they cling to the demos with Mike Browning on them, dude, and they say that's the best Morbid Angel ever was. Everybody's got an opinion, you know what I mean? And honestly, it's all part of Morbid Angel. When I was in Morbid Angel, before, I never had an issue with doing any songs from the catalog, and I still don't.
Okay.
It really kind of got blown out of proportion, man, your A question. It sort of got blown out of proportion with people, and somewhere it was claimed that we were refusing to do David Vincent era things, which is bullshit, man. I honestly, that was never said. What was said was, this time out, we're going to do pretty much a set that predominantly songs of albums that I've been a part of.
Okay.
It was never said we were never going to do this again or we weren't going to do that. Man, in truth, it's absolutely my opinion and a fact, if you want to look it up yourself, that, all those songs are not David's songs, dude. They're Trey's songs. Trey wrote most of them.
Sure.
I mean, almost every single one of them, to be honest with you. All of those amazing riffs, they were Trey. Yeah, David sang on them, but they were Morbid Angel riffs. I guarantee you, in the end, Trey had every bit as much input, if not more, than David did.
Okay.
So, honestly, they're Morbid Angel songs, man, and I'm not opposed to doing anything like that. I mean, dude, I love that shit, and I've did tours of that. What we really are trying to do, man, is we're trying to do some songs that haven't been played a million times live.
Right.
We're trying to do some songs that it's really exciting for people to get to, hear these songs, if not for the first time in 15 years.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's just something to do. It's one of those things where you go out and you do so many tours, dude. And if you're maintaining, your core set list of the quote unquote classics, I mean, at some point you played those songs just hundreds and hundreds of times.
Right.
And it's really just about trying to just keep fresh and to be honest, us enjoying the live show every bit as much as the crowd enjoying the live show. You know what I mean? There's a great comfort in playing a song that you've played so many times because you know it, but there's also an excitement in playing something new that you see people's excitement of. They just get to hear that for the first time in 15 years. You know?
Sure. Yeah, it's funny. We talk about it on the show a lot here about, like, and totally different style of music, obviously, but we talk about how Aerosmith's Dream On is one of the greatest songs ever written, and how much Steven Tyler probably can't stand when that part of the show comes up because he has to play it for the 3,000th time. It just gets old. So I get it.
And you know what, dude? And they usually do.
Yep.
And that's the thing, man. We usually play Rapture. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So it's one of those things where, you usually do, but occasionally even Aerosmith, man. Aerosmith will go out and they'll say, look, dude, we just spent a year writing an album and we're going to play a lot of stuff from this album and a little bit less stuff from that for now, but we're going to do another tour and we're going to mix it up.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So that's really kind of, I think, what we're doing, dude. When you got a catalog that goes back now almost 30 years, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It becomes, there's so many songs, man, and physically it's just death metal. This isn't Aerosmith, so you can't go out and rock out 35 songs. You know what I mean? You've got to go out and do your, 15 to 20 songs, man, and at that point everybody's physically fucking, well, I know I am, and I know the drummer is. We are just physically drained. You know what I mean? So, at that point, man, and we kind of, man, it's a fine line between, making sure everybody hears what they want, but once the catalog keeps getting bigger, it's impossible. I'm sure this is twice as impossible for, like, say, Iron Maiden or Metallica or something. You know what I mean?
Sure. No, you're definitely right. And you know what? And by keeping it different, by mixing in songs and doing stuff that people haven't heard before, it gives people a reason to come back. We've all seen, anybody that is a concert goer has seen their favorite band 5, 10, 15 times. So at this point, as a Morbid Angel fan, I don't care if you ever play Rapture again. Personally, I'd rather hear you play something deep off of Formulas or Heretic or something. I would rather hear something that I've never heard before versus the same 15 tunes that I've heard before. So I get it. I get what you're saying.
That's exactly what we were doing, that first American tour, dude. We went deep into into Formulas. We went very deep into Gateways and very deep into Heretic. You know what I mean? It was we could have just done a song off of each or whatever, but we did, 4 songs each or 5 songs each, and we did a new song, and you know what I mean? It was just really about just getting out there, playing some songs that we were extremely excited about. Because, dude, we got all these songs that we recorded that, man, these things at one point were our absolute baby. We loved this song, and then somehow it ended up one of the deeper tracks in the album, and almost forgotten.
Right.
That's not really fair, and that sucks for something that you love so much,
No doubt, man. Well, dude, if people give it a chance, I would think that there's a lot of tunes that they're going to love on this new one. It's called Kingdom's Disdained. It's Morbid Angel. And Steve, where can people go online to find out more about Morbid Angel, where you're going to be, how they can get the record, all that stuff?
Man, I would say the obvious, morbidangel.com, Facebook. You're gonna, you'll be able to get just about information you need, man.
All right, perfect, dude. Well, man, as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track from the new record, maybe tell us a story about it. So what would you like us to wrap this interview up with?
Garden of Disdain, man. At this point, it's one of my favorite songs on the album, and it's just because of the overall storyline and the way it sort of just falls into deeper and deeper darkness, man. I love it.
All right, well, let's check it out right now. It's brand new Morbid Angel right here on your Classic Metal Show.